All right, we're back. Okay, so now I'm super excited because I get to use my white gouache in here, and I was looking all over for it. I'm gonna try my best to just, oh my goodness, to add my gouache. I'm gonna have to wash it off later on. Hold on, maybe I can use these backwards because when you mix watercolors with gouache, then you no longer have watercolors. So I'm gonna try to use the back of my Traveler's palette. And this is something that I should have done before doing this. I swear that this thing detached before. Now it doesn't want to, so I think I have like a small plate or something. Hold on. No, it doesn't want to detach. I have no choice. Probably washing it off later. Just gonna put in this corner. I'm gonna go with my, by the way, I'm using, this is the gouache that I'm using. It's from Holbein. I never seen it before. And they're called Acryla gouache. Just want to show you. That's what I'm using. I don't know what to say about them. I really don't. I'm not crazy about them. So that's why I'm like those long pause. I am not crazy about them. So very careful I don't mess up the rest of my paper. I'm going to start wetting and going around in like different places that I think that I can add white to my paper with the gouache. I'm gonna come here to the bird. I'm just gonna add that really nice detail of his eye, and I'm gonna add also white to his beak, and I'm going to start like doing some feathering. Just gonna make sure that it's dry so I don't kind of just messed up. The painting. Just gonna come here and just add some feathers coming from here. And I'm just gonna add more water. And I'm going to start and the same thing goes that if you're like adding wash to your watercolor, you have to like clean up your water afterwards. So otherwise you'll have like a puddle of muted color, not watercolors anymore. You'll have like more gouache than anything. So you have to like really make sure that you clean up the water afterwards. So now it looks more like a bird. And then I'm gonna do the same thing, dipping my brush in a really beautiful dark black. And I'm going to start feathering. I don't know if that's the right word. Feathering out the bottom part as thin as I can. I'm just going to do the same thing here. And just add that to the so-called part of the wing. And I'm also gonna mimic as if there was a tail there, or there is a tail there, so we know where the tail is going, and it looks more attractive as well as more organized and less abstracty. I'm just gonna do a thin mimicking part of the leg, and I'm gonna water it down just to kind of just disappear it. Like you'll be able to see it, but not like you're not sure if there's a leg or something. So that's what we're trying to do. Gonna go back to with the white, and I'm going to as much as I can. I'm not gonna go crazy with it, but as much as I can, I'm just gonna mimic part of the wings as well on this side. Alright, so my bottom bird, I'll say it's basically done. I'm just going to delete this area here. That sounds so fancy. Just delete it a little bit. I'm just gonna add this beautiful kind of just orangey autumn color all over. Just gonna add it to the branch as well. And you have like a mixture of autumn and in it. So I'm going to, where are you? I'm going to grab my gouache again, and I'm just going to start adding some white to the bird here. And I left as much white as I could on this one, so I don't have too much of an issue. I'm just gonna, some people are like, then that's not a watercolor, it's more mixed media. It really doesn't matter as long as you're doing the right thing. And I'm not a purist at all, so I'll work with what I got. Of course, you know, I always say that if you want to really break the rules, you have to know the rules. So you always should know how to do this stuff. And then you break the rules, just like I'm doing. But of course, I'm a perfectionist as well as an anal, very anal person. So I could go like really further with details and stuff. And that's good because, yeah, you do beautiful paintings, but it's bad because you take longer than other people and just it becomes annoying. So anyways, as to go back to the since when I've been doing this and all that stuff. Like a lot of people ask me like since when you've been doing this, and I've been doing it for a while. And then they ask, and why you do it? And that's a good question. Like before I was like, what kind of stupid question is that? Like, what do you mean? Because you do get like annoyed. Like, what do you mean? Excuse me? But that's a very important question. Like now, I feel bad because when the person told me, like when they were asking me that question, I thought it was silly. And then now I understand how important that question is. Like, why do you do this? And the reason why is because, like I said, I've been doing it for a while, close to 10 years or more. And because of the stigma, like a lot of people, my mom wanted me to become anything except an artist. Like, no way. Excuse me, what did you just say again? You want to become an artist? You're a crazy little girl. And I wasn't never given the chance, even though I was literally called for all the art projects in my school, and my teachers, everybody kind of knew, hey, you know what, you want Mary to do this, to do that. And this is not coming out as I want it to, so I'm just gonna have to like that little birdie. I don't know, maybe I'll leave it, maybe not. Just cover that one. And so, but I was never given a chance as an artist. Like, the word artist for my parents, even though they both are very artistic, was like a sign of starvation, and I was going to really basically suffer, because being an artist is equal to you're going to starve and you're not going to have no future. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people think, and artists, it's kind of like a stigmatized idea of, if you're going to be an artist, this is what's going to happen to you. And so I went on in my life doing everything else. I'm just going to round this just a bit, because I see like the body is becoming little and everything else is kind of like too much. So I'm just going to drag with me this area. Alright. So everything else was okay except being an artist. So I really wasn't given like the chance to be an artist. I couldn't prove myself either, because like I said, there was no talking to anybody about becoming an artist. And I always had the calling, like, since I was very little. And then I grew, when I was like 26 years old, it's like I wanted to blow up. And I became very depressed with my second pregnancy. And I thought, hey, you know what a great idea. Even though that was a pure excuse. I told my ex-husband at that time, like, you think that if I get like art lessons and, you know, I'll help with my depression? And he agreed to it, but the reality was that I really, like, I had a calling, and I knew that I had to respond to it, because it was driving me crazy. And so I started having like art lessons, and I met with my teacher like every week, 2 days a week, and I just loved it. Like, it was like I was a kid. And I love my art teacher. Love him. And I feel like that was like kind of like life giving me a chance to go back to what I really love. But I feel like you never have like life planned. That's not the way it goes. And you really like, there's different ways of that life kind of just, it has, I don't know, like life is different. So I meet with my art teacher. I love my classes. I started growing up as an artist. I learned everything that I could from him. And what's next? What's next? Like, I was so hungry to learn more, to learn about sculptures and just to go further. And then, but I was in a very, very extremely difficult and very abusive relationship. And he had other plans, of course, and I kind of just follow him everywhere. And that was like the biggest mistake that I have ever made. And then it's the end of the story. I continued to do art at home while taking care of the kids and stuff. But of course, it's not the same because you just want to be out. You want to be, doing what you're supposed to as an artist. And so I kind of just like decided to kind of just be at home and do the work from home. And so like I feel like I developed, like I was like so afraid of coming out and talking to people that I was an artist. Like, I was just like a weird situation with me. And it wasn't until I finally got rid of that relationship that I kind of woke up. And when I woke up from it, like I said, the first thing that came through my mind is like, how am I going to feed the kids? How am I going to feed the kids? How am I going to do this? How? And I got so, I'm looking for a picture here. Hold on. I got so, like, worried. That instead of, like, doing me a favor and just now you have an opportunity to just make art. Then I went, and this is the second part. I'm just going to lower the camera here. There you go. And then I went, and instead of like, hey, you know what? He's gone. Take advantage. Take everything that you can. Start moving on towards art. Take advantage of what you got. I was so desperate because of money, and I was left alone in the house without the kids and with the kids, and I was just a mess. I'm just trying my best to kind of just make this birdie as small as I can. That I decided, and I went and I said, let me just get a 9 to 5 because that's what's gonna save me and my kids. And little did I knew that I was given the tools, the money, and everything to kind of just succeed as an artist. I just didn't know. When you're in trouble, when you have problems and you get desperate, that's like the worst enemy for anybody. Like, I gotten desperate. Like, I saw reality, and I said, forget about art. I'm just gonna go and wait tables and do what I have to do to survive. And up to this day, like, I've never that was like the last chance, because I have never been able to really, that eye is crooked. I've never been given a chance to really just have to like really measure this out. And then this is where the eye is. Here. Then there's a line here. There's another line. Not a line, but I'm just separating the bird as I see it. The body, then, and then. So I have to kind of just make it a little bit bigger. And then here's the body. So I have to go down. This bird has so many colors. It's just beautiful. And we're gonna do, this is where the beak should go. If we're gonna do it that big. That's the only thing that is a little bit difficult when you're doing cards. Like you kind of just have to shrink everything that you see. Everything has to be shrinked. And then this one, we're going to do it with watercolor pencils. Watercolor pencils are water soluble. And they're great for watercolors. I love them. And they just act just like watercolors. So at least in this lesson, like you get like different ways of doing which one I'm going to use. This beautiful red, yeah. Just gonna, and it's water soluble. I'm using Fantasia. These are not like expensive watercolors. These are a 24 pack of watercolors and they're beautiful and I just love them. So anyways, we're just gonna go and just rub this all throughout that area. It's gonna help us also kind of just add the colors and put the colors where they belong. I'm just gonna hold down because my camera is like, just gonna go here. And I'm just gonna, right? And I like to do this, press a little bit so the color kind of just pops out. I'm gonna come here with a brush and I'm just gonna start rubbing the red out of the sections that I put it in. And that's watercolor pencil. And you can actually go further with the color. And then it has, so it's white and then black. So I'm just gonna come here. I have to sharpen all my pencils. And I'm going to come here and I'm gonna start like adding black and over here. And of course, if I touch where it's wet, it's going to kind of just spread. And I like that kind of, just gonna go around, gonna go through the neck, gonna go back, and kind of just rub that in. And it has a little bit of in the beak. And I'm gonna keep like whatever I feel that there's black, I'm just gonna go by and just start coloring that area. I'm gonna waste no time. Over here. And then I'm gonna come, because it has some brown in it, I'm gonna come with the color 45. It says 45 here. Premium, I don't know. So 45, and I'm gonna start like adding it here. So basically watercolor pencils behave like color pencils, but they're water soluble and I love to use them because it just, I don't know, like a different way of doing things. I'm trying to rush as much as I can because I think somebody's coming over. So I'm gonna come here and with my bigger brush, I'm just gonna spread that watercolor all over. And also you get a chance to kind of just see how to do this with different ways in watercolors and different tools. And I like to do this with not all the paintings, but most of them. Like I like to just kind of experiment because it just never gives you like the same result. Just gonna come here. Like a lot of people get frustrated because, you know, they don't know how to manage watercolors, but if you give them like another tool, perhaps that's even easier. And you get to perform maybe perhaps with that medium or watercolor pencil better than with a watercolor. All right, so now I have that bird. I'm gonna go, and in my picture he's surrounded by this green color, which is very beautiful. And whomever gave them the photograph or whatever, whomever did the photograph, kind of just wanted to show, you know, nature. And I like it, not crazy about it. I have this beautiful green, I'm gonna show you. This is from Holbein. Spring green, look at that. We're nowhere in autumn. And I'm going to place my spring green here in my palette, and I have it mixed with this really mustardy yellowish plus brown that I have. I think it will work. I'm going to dilute that color as much as I can. And now there's a difference between this than these two, is that I'm actually going to start backwards and it will be drying to wet. So I feel like you kind of just get a spectrum of every single method that you can actually achieve. And then when you do this, kind of like graduating effect. It just wets the entire area as well. I don't care if you go out of the line, but at least, you know, you get ideas on how to do this stuff. All right, so I basically use watercolor pencils to kind of just outline what I'm going to work with. And then I'm going to start now developing my painting with watercolors. And I need a really rich red, like no joke red. So I'm using red orange in Holbein 005. It's a really bright red and it's a very beautiful color. I'm just going to show you. It's very beautiful, and I think this red will work pretty well with what I'm trying to accomplish with the bird. Usually with a bird, I kind of just mute the reds, but not this time. We're just gonna let it rip just like that. Just gonna go around it. And you see how beautiful and rich that red is. That's what you want to accomplish. I'm gonna go down and of course, also one thing, when it comes to nature, you're never going to be able to like mimic nature exactly how it is, but you can definitely copy from it as much as you can. Just gonna add some greenery here. And just like the other birds, I'm just gonna push back the body of it. I'm just gonna come here, make it look like there's actual gonna round the head a little bit. I'm gonna go around it. And I'm going to clean my brush. And the tip of the beak, I put some I don't care if it makes a little bit wet. It's fine. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna grab this black color. And I'm gonna come here and kind of just go around the eye, just like in the picture. And you see like difference, like when you add like the watercolor pencil and then you add watercolors on top, and you see how bright and beautiful that color kind of just pops out differently than, I don't know, like maybe the pigmentation of the pencil, because it's more like grinded when like you're rubbing it against the paper. Like you adding that powder in there, so when it's mixed with the watercolor, kind of just, it's like a really nice graduation. I'm going to go down, and I don't want to touch much of it. I'm gonna come here because this bird has it. I'm gonna rub my brush in this beautiful yellow. And now I'm going to exaggerate it just because I want it to look like, hey, you know what? This bird has like yellow in it. So I'm just gonna, the bird has it a little lower on this area. I'm just gonna kind of just put it on top. So we're just gonna, all right, and then I'm gonna go wet my brush again. And then I'm going to lower it over here. And then I'm gonna leave it like that for a couple of seconds. I have this really nice grayish blue. I'm just going to start, hold on, because it's completely dry. I'm just gonna start using just rub that grain. And I'm gonna come here. So I'm just looking at the bird in the picture, but I'm just gonna lift this up. And do the same thing here. Okay. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna go now with my bluish tone, or I'm going to kind of start separating that so you can see the form and shape of the bird a little better. I'm gonna go with a really big, not big, but bigger brush, and I'm going to I was talking about cleaning the brush, cleaning the water, and I never did. So I still have like the bits of, all right, I have that nice gradients in there. I'm doing the same thing here with the big brush, still pretty wet, as closer as I can to the bird as I can. And I'm gonna go with my really dark blue and kind of just connect it here. Just add like this, I don't know, different tone on top of that green, and it's really nice. I'm just gonna leave it like that. We're gonna let this dry, and I'm going to darken the eye. So in watercolors, like, you move from one side to the other, move from one side to the other. You never like stay in one place, because So while you're waiting for something to be dry, then you can work on somewhere else. I'm just going to, with this tiny brush, I'm going to add more black color to the eye. And as you can see, I left enough space there for the highlights of the eye. Come here, lower this. I'm just gonna, and then I'm gonna go back and I kind of just added like, it looks like there's something there. I have a synthetic brush here, and we're going to do the same thing, just lift, just to create like branches and stuff. It's gonna make it look like he is in the forest. I like to have like the meaning of the bird, and or not the meaning of the bird, like where they're from and all that stuff. Like, don't be like me, like don't just copy the picture, but know the details of what you're actually copying or doing or whatever, because it kind of just helps the viewer to kind of just relate to the painting. There's people that collect this stuff. Like, I started doing these cards, oh my god, exactly 10 years ago, and I used to sell them on Etsy back then, and I don't know, I loved it. I love to sell them, I love to share them, and at that time they were like, all this work, can you imagine, for $1? It's like, wow. So I used to give them for $1 because I was ignorant and I didn't know, and I was at home and had nothing, no idea. And then I started doing them like different things. Like, I used to do cows, birds. I started selling them for $2. And then I kind of just raised up, and then someone told me like, they're too low, you have to lift it up. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm afraid I have so much competition. And I kind of just left them for like cheaper. And now I sell them for $10, especially if I have dedicated my time to them. I will not go lower than that because of the time that I have put into it, and because they definitely are worth the price, and they're actually worth more. But you know, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, they're actually worth more. And when I sell, the work is actually, you're buying the work, like the real work, what you see here. You're not buying, excuse me, you're not buying like a copy. And there's like a big difference between getting a copy and getting the original card or original painting. Because, and also, even though it's birds, you're still like buying an original, like you're not buying a copy of it. And so yeah, but when it comes to selling work, like I feel like each of us have like a way of doing things and our own people that buy from us, and then we kind of just, I guess, think as to who is the one who we're actually attracting to buy our stuff. So that's the person that, I guess, that, you know, you have to like go with whom you're attracting to buy your work, because I guess that's the way I kind of just like to do. Who am I attracting? Is this people that actually can afford to pay $10 per card? They're actually like collectors. They know how much it actually is the value of it. Or are these like kids, you know, they're in school, they're just curious and they like art or whatever. So that depends on who is buying your work. Usually people that buy my work are actually collectors. So these collectors actually know the price of these cards. So that's how I go with how much I'm going to sell them for. And I feel like when it comes to pricing, like each to their own, I guess. But I like to price my work accordingly, of course. And I'm just gonna throw my water. Now, let's do flowers. So I go like this. I go by theme. I go like, I do flowers, I do this, I do that, and it depends on, you know, what I want to do and where I'm taking the picture from. Make sure that you're not picking a picture from someone. Do things that are not like copyrighted. And just go like this and just look for flowers that are like interesting or something that I haven't done in a while. So something that is not from anybody. All right, let's search for that flower. Hold on. Apple blossoms. Let's see, apple blossom flowers. That's what I'm like. I'm gonna do. I think it's a very beautiful flower, and not only that, it's easier in watercolors. And I'm going to show you and teach you how to do that. And I should do like a separate video for that because, yeah. But and you can see the birdies. Look how pretty. All right, maybe I should change my PJs. Anyways, I'll be right back.